Liss, and the name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me as we explore places to go and things to do. I have a guest today who is a legend in the theater, in the movies, and I'm delighted that he's here today. He's Eddie Bracken. Eddie Bracken is coming to the Emelin Theater in Never Too Late, a wonderful comedy, and he's come here and joined us today to talk about this play and also his career. Welcome, Eddie Bracken.
Norman, thank you.
I'm so delighted that you're here, and I keep reading about the fact that you're a legend of the theater. How do you react when people say you're a legend?
I say, you're right, I am. Thank you very much. But, when you've been around and you've done as much as I've done, and you've been in the business as long as I have been, you're talking about your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your mother and father, the kids next door that know who I am.
And the kids today, because of the things you're doing today and because of television. And
Well, for a long while, I was on the road or on Broadway in plays, and really out of the public eye, really. When you're on Broadway, you're playing one theater in one town.
Right.
And for as long as you play it, sometimes 6 months. In Chicago, it was a year. Or I was in London, or I was any place where they have a stage. I was a year and a half in Australia playing Sugar Babies, for instance. Well, people back here don't remember you or don't hear about you, and all of a sudden you go back and you do a movie like Home Alone 2, where I played the Mr. Duncan in the toy store. That's a whole new career has opened up. And Roy Wally from Wally's World, National Lampoon Vacation with Chevy Chase. All the kids know who I am, and the mothers and fathers know who I am because of the kids.
But you did such great movies, and you worked with the best. You worked with, of course, Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland and Bob Hope and Marilyn Monroe, and the films that you made were incredible. As a matter of fact, one of the nice things about not only are you doing this play at the Emelin from September 11th to September 28th, but after each performance, you're going to talk to the audience. You're going to come out after the curtain call and talk about, pretty much like we are today, anecdotes, your experience, and any questions that they have.
Yeah, well, I sit down and I start going because I remember when I was trying to get into the business, and I would meet people like Jimmy Stewart. Well, I couldn't talk to him. I would blush, but I wanted to ask him so much about how he did it and about his life and et cetera, and many other. And finally, I got to do all that. I was on your seat interviewing many people, and many times because I own some radio stations and things. And I would get to know them. But I also learned that we are a household piece of furniture.
We being
the people in the motion picture business. Judy Garland, for instance, anybody would love to have her in a living room and say, oh, come on over, we've got a friend and let's talk. Well, I say that the theater is my living room. Come on over to my living room. After the show, we'll have some fun. Let's sit down and talk about your life and mine. And
that's such a great idea for the Emelin to be doing that, and also the fact, and I think this is wonderful scheduling, 3 of your films, I mean 2 Preston Sturges films, Miracle of Morgan's Creek, was going to be August 28th, and of course Hail the Conquering Hero, September 4th. You were a superstar in those. Preston Sturges must have been great working with him.
Well, Preston Sturges is one of the greats of all times. He was a wonderful human being, and we could sit down talking together like this. He would dominate the conversation. His ego was enormous, but it was the kind of ego that we would go, yes, Mr. Sturges, yes, Mr. Sturges, because we believed it too. He was a wonderful human being. He also was Lucifer. He was Jesus Christ and Lucifer in one body. He had all the Max Sennett comedians who couldn't get work. They were all in Sturges movies, like Snud Pollock, one of my close friends, and Jack Norton, and Chester Conklin, Vic Patel, all the Keystone Cops. They were all working in Preston Sturges movies, and they were wonderful. he would browbeat them and argue with them to get a performance out of them. And at the end of it, they would, nobody would resent it. They would love him. Isn't that great? That he'd pay that much attention to them.
The director's role is a very interesting one.
Yes.
What does the actor bring? I've asked this question of many actors and directors as well. What does the actor bring, and what does the director bring? You talk about a Preston Sturges browbeating these performers, but the actor brings a great deal to the performance.
The actor brings an awful lot. As a matter of fact, most of it, because he's got to create the character that was written by Preston Sturges. And you're going to be cast in that because he feels that you fit the part, so you're on the way already. But now I have a few ideas of what I want to do with it and so forth, and I try it. In The Miracle of Morgan's Creek, I added the stuttering, the St. Vitus dance, and everything else that you could do to keep moving and not being somebody. Oh, he loved that, and the spots between them. That was all my ideas. And he let that go and loved it because I gave him something to direct. It was his job to keep it honest and keep it in. There's one time we set up a scene where Bill Demarest he's got a gun and he's cleaning it, but I'm nervous because I'm talking about his daughter and I'm taking her out and he wants to know what my intentions are, etc. And he makes me so nervous and the gun goes off and I get up and I said, "Thank you, Mr. And I walk right through the screen door. Well, I had the prop department loosen the nails so that I could do that and it would fall in very easily. But Sturges didn't know that, and they were shooting, and I did it just for the fun. Now he loved that, and I didn't think it was going to go in the picture. I did it just for the fun of it. But it not only went in the picture, but probably one of the biggest laughs in motion picture history. That went on and on and on.
The third film that's being showed is Summer Stock, and that's going to be August 21st. And of course, Summer Stock is not Preston Sturges, but there were a few performers in that who are fairly well known, aren't they?
Yeah, a few of them.
Yeah, like
Phil Silvers, Gene Kelly, and Gloria DeHaven. Yeah. And Hans Conrad.
Was Judy Garland in Summer Stock?
Judy Garland, she was Summer Stock. Yeah. Judy Garland was absolutely wonderful, and she and I got along extremely well. When we were doing the scene where I was proposing to her to get married, and I couldn't come out with the words, my father takes over and he's proposing and he's sitting between us. Well, Judy could not look at me in that time because of my expressions and what I was doing with the and could not laugh. She laughed so much.
You broke her up.
That she developed pleurisy the next day, and she was out for a couple of weeks after. But she, in 3 of the 5 books that was written on Judy Garland, she mentions me as her favorite comedian, that I could make her laugh at any time. Well, in effect, she was right because she was my patsy. And it wasn't from jokes or anything. It was from double takes or the old-fashioned Max Sennett days of people moving as comedians or having a thought while you're in a scene that wasn't there. This would tickle her. It would be a tickle. It wouldn't be a joke.
It's interesting. You talk about the comedian breaking up. How come you went into comedy? Is it because of the way you look, or is it because you started performing very young, age of 3? Did you tell me?
Yeah.
But how come comedy? How come you did so much comedy?
Well, I think because of the first impression of going to an outdoor theater many years ago to see Charlie Chaplin and Jackie Coogan, and Jackie Coogan was the kid. How dare he be the kid? That's my job, I wanted to be in pictures right from the day I saw Jackie Coogan in that. And later on, to have Jackie Coogan be one of my closest friends. We worked together and we played together. And Junior Durkin, who was his Huckleberry Finn. Yes. And Mitzi Green, and going all back to those people. I was a friend to all these people. And but Junior Coghlan.
But why comedy for you?
And, well, that was comedy. That was Charlie Chaplin's comedy was so funny, and I guessed something about him right when I was a kid that I felt a great pity for the man. And I wondered why he made me laugh, because I was so sorry for him. Well, hell, that's the wonderful thing. Comedy and drama, there's this thin line. I can make you laugh, or I can make you cry without changing expressions, because I'm not trying to be funny, nor am I trying to be dramatic. I'm just trying to tell the scene as it is and make you believe it. If I make you believe it, you'll cry, you'll laugh, you'll do everything that I command.
Have you done drama, heavy drama?
Oh, many, many times, yes. For instance, one of the big ones was, I Can't Hear You When the Water's Running,
yes.
With the 4 different parts.
Sure.
And that worked very well, and on radio. But when you think about heavy drama or doing something like that, they don't think about me in that, because my fame is in comedy, playing roles. But I could play anything.
So when you did Showboat, for instance, you did Captain Andy, right?
Right.
Which is not comedy, really, but it's kind of a wholesome character.
No part is comedy, including
No part is comedy.
A show like Sugar Babies,
Yes.
where you're literally one of the top comedians.
Yes.
Well, you're also a guy that's trying to convince people that you're telling the truth while you're doing all these facial expressions and dirty jokes. They got to believe it. If they don't believe it, you're trying to be funny. We used to call them show-offs. And there are an awful lot of people in pictures today and on television that are show-offs. The 4-letter words, for instance, how many times do we have to hear this, and from how many comedians? And how many times can you tell them that it's not funny? It's just not funny.
Talk about funny. Never Too Late is a comedy, of course, and of course you directed it. And it's kind of a family affair, because your wife and your daughter are in it too.
Right.
That's a comedy. And tell us a little bit, without telling all of the surprises in it, what it's about.
Well, it's about a guy who's a bombastic son of a gun that runs his family. It's the kind of a guy who says, I'm the boss in this house. Well, she's not around. But he's at a certain age now. It's never too late for anything, really. And when his wife announces that she's about to have a baby,
that sets up.
It now goes from comedy to heavy drama.
Yeah.
And you'll see it in this. What I'm trying to explain to you now is about the thin line. When he goes off the deep end into a man my age is having a baby. I mean, don't you know everybody's laughing at me? Well, you got to play that, and that comes across, and you'll find yourself with a tear in your eye here and there, and feeling sorry for a guy.
I want to get into a little more of that, but first I do want to remind our viewers that we're talking today to Eddie Bracken, who is starting September 11th at the Emelin Theater in Never Too Late, a comedy about a gentleman who's not so young, whose wife is having a baby, and it's really loaded with all sorts of opportunities for fun. I want to get into the difference. I mean, you're such a quadruple threat man. You're not only an actor, a comedian. You've done a tremendous amount of plays, shows, probably more than anybody else in the world.
It is more than anyone else. I hit my 14,000 performance about 2 years ago. It's much more than that now, but no other actor in history has ever played as many legitimate performances as I have. You do 416 a year without taking a day off, playing matinees and evenings. It's 8 shows a week. Well, 14,000 adds up to the fact that I have worked for 36 years without taking a day off in different plays.
And in the meantime, you're also a director, a writer. You wrote a newspaper column. You're an entrepreneur. You've owned theaters. You're a producer. Where do you find the time for all of this? And what are you doing the day after tomorrow? I mean, with all I'm sure many things are going on at the same time with you. Everything
that in my philosophy of life is the only time that there is now. There's no such thing as the past, except that it's part of today's memory now. There's no future. It never gets here. The energy and God's love is with us right now. And that's where it is. I'm here now because it's a pleasure to be here and to talk about this. There's a nonprofit organization with the Emelin Theater in which we are playing there. I'm bringing a show in that's cast with people from Hofstra University, which is also a nonprofit organization. I work with the Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey, nonprofit. I'm also developing big ideas of bringing Broadway musicals onto the screen in high definition. I've got a company in Dallas, Texas, with all the cameras and the crews and all that stuff.
How do you keep it all straight in your mind? It's almost like the question that, and how does an actor remember all the lines? And it's particularly amazing when you see a repertory company which may be doing 3 or 4 different plays on different days, and the same actors are doing different roles. How does one remember all those lines? I know in doing a film or TV, you're just doing scene after scene after scene. You have time. But in the theater, you've got to put all that in your mind.
Every single person that ever lived is an actor. All you have to do is study the lines, and you have it.
What do you mean by that? Study the lines. I mean, I could read a play, and I don't have it.
Yeah, you won't have it when you read it. I don't either. You have to study it. You have to. Somebody says, "How are you?" Your next line is, "I'm fine. How's yourself?" So, I mean, that's automatic. You're going to answer that. So the cues that you get from the other actors. A good actor is a good listener. You don't have to know his lines, but you have to know what he said, the question he asked or what he says, and that picks out the next line for you that you have studied and remember over and over. An actor sometimes can study it and know it 100% at home, and when he gets up to do it, he wants to go, okay, he can't remember anything, because you can't study 2 things at once. When you come in, even though you know your lines, you've got to know your lines now with the movement that you make on the stage. You're going to cross over here when you say the line. You're going to pick up a glass here when you say the line. And there's a reason to pick up the glass, because that's part of the show, and you don't do anything that's not reasonable, that you don't have a reason for. But in that way, now you're tying them both together. Once you get that, you never have to go back and study it anymore. It's in there.
But what happens when you have someone who's playing opposite you who's disruptive, as I've heard so many times? Zero Mostel would do things. Did you ever work with him, by the way?
No, I never worked with him.
Because I know people who've worked with him and who've said that he would change things during Fiddler and Forum, where he would change things. And since it's such a responsive craft, how do you respond? You have to respond by ad-libbing as he's doing, I suppose. It must be difficult.
If it were me and I were in the show with Zero, and it was disrupting me to a point where it was not reasonable for me, I wouldn't be there anymore.
Well, of course, that's happened, we know, in some circumstances where people walk down.
I don't like that. If it's funny and it goes, and it's going to do something else, and it isn't disruptive, and many times that's the case, especially with Zero. The laughs are there, etc. Hell, I'd go for that. That's, if it's reasonably believable.
I've also heard from performers when an actor goes on vacation and the understudy or the standby comes in, then everybody plays differently because it's different.
It is.
Not bad, different, but just different. There
is a difference,
because it is an interaction.
Timing, different.
Even though the blocking is the same, the movements are the same.
There's a different attitude that happens because it's a new character. And her timing or his timing might be different than the other guy, so you have to adjust. And I always believe that you must adjust to the other person. They don't adjust to me because I'm the star, and I'm saying that would be wrong. I should be solid enough to know the play enough so that I adjust to them rather than they adjust to me.
You were kind of giving some indication of facial expression earlier as we were discussing this. Where does that come from? Is it something that you study and say, well, I'm going to do a twitch here, or I'm going to turn here, or is it just something that you kind of do naturally because you feel the character?
It's a natural feeling that comes out of a line or out of a situation that there's a bug on your shoulder. Oh my, it just comes automatic.
You become the character. You become the character.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. That's called believability.
And does that?
If I go out of character at any time, demand your ticket back.
Is it a painful process?
No, not at all. It's accepting, just like you're drinking a cup of coffee.
The joy of performing before a live audience is wonderful, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I've discussed this with so many actors and actresses that the audience gives you a great deal, doesn't it? And the audience is never the same.
Some people are gifted, and I happen to be one of the lucky people that have natural comedy timing. I once asked George Abbott, and when all the critics were saying how my timing was right on just perfection, I went to Mr. Abbott and I said, what do they mean by timing? So I didn't know. It was something that you feel. It's the beat that you stay on.
Did you train? Do you have?
No, none.
You didn't train, but you just
hard knocks.
You see some of the things, the Actors Studio with their wonderful television series where actors talk about the techniques and how they learn and so on. And there are so many techniques that actors use. And then there are so many people who are natural actors, which obviously is the category that you're in. You sound like you've enjoyed
thoroughly
all of this.
Thoroughly.
And you were very, very active with 20th Century there for a long time, and of course with Preston Sturgis and MGM, and of course you do TV. And I guess all films aren't made in Hollywood anymore. They're locational.
Well, now they're all over the place. A lot of people are trying to get out of Hollywood, and just now Florida is filled with wonderful studios down there. But you don't need studios anymore. You shoot if you're going into a supermarket, you go into a real one.
Location.
Right.
It seems to me that it's very difficult. When I have seen them setting up to do a film here in New York or Westchester site sometimes, it seems very difficult for me with all of the lights and the equipment and the trucks that come in there to shoot something that's going to be on the screen for maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah.
A lot of sitting around, isn't there, in doing films?
If you want to call it sitting around, when you're sitting around talking to Bill Cosby, and when he's working on, I did the Mysteries with him, and such an interesting guy. I love this man. He's just wonderful.
So sitting around and waiting, but you're really a people-oriented person. I can hear that, and so there's more to it than just the performing.
Oh, you bet. You bet.
You talk about all the friends, and over the years, some of the real greats.
In most cases, we have more acquaintances than anybody in the whole world because we meet everybody all over the place.
We being
actors, celebrities that are in. We go all over the place, and we're with different families all the time. You realize that every show I've been in, you sometimes are with people for 4 years. And the show's over, you don't see them anymore.
Yes.
And they were the closest. You couldn't get any closer than that. Well, hell, I have something like 200 different plays with 200 different families. I don't remember names anymore of some of the people, but if they were to walk in here today, it'd be, hey, sit down, we'll talk.
Because you've lived together.
You bet.
Yes, that's a wonderful experience.
Yeah. So it's acquaintances, very few friends except in your own family, and luckily I've got a wonderful big family.
But you do have quite a few friends. You mentioned like Mickey Rooney, who you see all
Mickey and Donald O'Connor, people like that. But still, even so, he's in California, and we used to play golf all the time, Mickey and I, but now it's family. He's with his family, I'm with my family.
That's the thing that counts.
So now he's an old-time acquaintance.
I do want to make sure that we repeat the fact that you'll be Never Too Late at the Emelin Theater. Big Broadway hit in the 1960s, ran 1,600 performances, September 11th to 28th, and the telephone number is 914-698-0098 if you want information about the times and any other things that perhaps you didn't have a chance to write down. We'll put that up in the closing credits as well. So where's it all going? Your career is just starting from all the things that you've got in the works here. You're in tomorrow with high-definition television. You certainly got a large foot in the past with all the things that you've done. What's the future? Just keep working?
The future right now looks like, I'll be doing things like this. We may go down to Florida to do a show that I put together called These Golden Years. We opened it in Hofstra last year, and it was a big hit, and we're thinking about bringing that to Broadway. So you got a lot of plans that you want to do. The most important thing right now is that it's raising the money now. We already have the rights to do Big River, to shoot it, and to put it on television. And now we have to get the money to do what we have to do. And anywhere along the line, any one of the situations that makes it work and puts it into being can fall apart, and like dominoes, it all falls apart, and you have to put it aside till later on to do it.
So the producer is the man who worries about the money.
Oh, boy. He worries about the whole thing. He worries about putting it together.
Worries about putting together, getting the money, and spending the money wisely.
Absolutely.
As one man.
And also,
said,
I don't see too many people thinking about the future, which is now. You got to think about it now. The cameras that you see in this here, and we're shooting, are television cameras. Within 2 years, they're obsolete. I mean, they're obsolete. You're going to have high-definition cameras in here shooting this interview or any interview that you have, and everything is going to be geared that way. Every television set in every home is going to be changed by 2006, everything is high definition.
And I want to tell you that 2006 may not be here, but we've run out of time, and long before 2006, and I thank you so much for being here and talking to us, and people should really look forward to seeing you at the Emelin Theater.
It'll be fun.
And talking to you afterwards. We've been talking today with Eddie Bracken, a legend in the theater, a legend in the movies, who will be at the Emelin Theater in Never Too Late, September 11th to 28th. Go see it. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. Until next time, enjoy yourself.